if we're not allowed to use our sprinklers and hoses, how can we keep our gardens in good shape? Joining me now is author of How to Grow, a guide for gardeners who can't garden yet, and creative director of Sproutl, Hollie Newton. Hi, Hollie.
Hello, how's it going?
Very well, thank you. How can you successfully garden, keep everything alive without a hose?
Well, I think, first of all, a scorched lawn is probably a badge of honour this year for sort of gardening responsibly. I think if you're going to have the hottest looks for your garden, that is it. And so I think just wear that proudly. With a bit of rain, they will all bounce back, so don't panic. And then I was having a think about it, and I think really it's probably about picking your battles. So you're not going to be able to keep everything alive. But I think one thing to look at is your sort of big expensive plants in pots and bamboo, or your favourite plants. I think those are the ones to look at. So, use a watering can, and also, almost like 1950s stuff, like just save the water that you sort of boil things in. If you're rinsing things, like catch underneath, and just start really using water that way.
Is there any kind of water that you shouldn't use in the garden?
No, I suppose it's absolutely full of sort of detergent. We've used a lot of
bath water. What about bath water? Yeah. Used bath water.
Probably okay. Lots of people do, don't they? But I think one of the things that's probably the real thing to do this year is to plan your garden for next year, because our summers are getting hotter, and so I'm looking at borders and beds that really aren't going to need much water. There's lots of ornamental grasses and really tough perennials, things that you can plant sort of at the end of the season or early next to really get their roots nice and sort of grounded. You'll be ready to go.
And what else can you do then in terms of rethinking your garden? Because there was a conversation about rethinking your houses, not having so many glass panels because it can be incredibly hot. So how do we rethink our gardens if this is going to be a problem?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are very, very beautiful gardens to take a nod from over the channel in the Mediterranean. And I think there's really, luckily, sort of style is following at the same time. So, like lovely wild grasses or wild flowers, that sort of planting, and things that don't need, all the sort of water that goes. I think also things like putting in, hiding things into the garden, like water butts to collect rainwater from drains.
If there is any rain.
If there's ever rain again, we'll collect it all.
I think there will be. Also putting more things in pots.
Yeah, things in pots. And then also, there's this thing, isn't there, in garden design where people move in and cut their trees down, but I cannot tell you how good trees are for keeping moisture in the garden and keeping everything alive, and equally letting some bits go wild.
Well, absolutely. Hollie, hopefully you've inspired a new generation of gardeners. Thank you so much. That is Hollie Newton.
Thank you.
Her book is How to Grow, a guide for gardeners who can't garden yet. Perhaps you have some tips. You can get in touch and let us know. 87222. Start your message with the word times.